stay here. I risk everything. I leave everything behind. Salut. Oh, no,
Или потому что я сильная. Hey.
Kijk eens wie er hier is.
Ik ben Marie. Hallo.
Zeg, het is wel fijn voor jullie zeker als Marie nu thuis is. Hm? Ze zorgt eigenlijk een beetje voor jullie als een mama, hè? Zou het dan eigenlijk niet goed zijn als we tegen haar dan ook mama zeggen?
Maar zij is toch niet mijn mama?
Wij willen iets
Vertellen.
ja.
Ik ben zwanger.
Marie, proficiat.
Ja, Wat is er, mama? Ik ben de tweede beste van de klas. Alles komt goed.
Broers, zussen.
Een broer en een zus.
Jij bent de oudste, juist. Die hebben zoiets heel zorgzaam, beetje saai, veel verantwoordelijkheidsgevoel. Jij straalt dat uit.
Bam! Articuleren! Bam!
Jij, altijd een goeie uithangen, hè, jij? Denkt je dat ik een achterlijke koe ben, of wat?
Vanavond.
Hé, wat doe je nu?
Wat?
Niet zomaar kwaad weglopen, dat haat ik echt.
Ik ben niet kwaad.
Vreselijk.
Ik ben niet kwaad.
Zo.
Vanavond.
Jij is een chameleon. Jij past u aan.
Je hebt altijd alleen maar in dezelfde keer.
Alles is prima. Mona is hier en alles is in orde.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Film Talk with me. I'm Noval, the Festival Co-Director of Europe on Screen 2021. We already have Sabine Lubbe Bakker. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I'm
Super
so
correct.
sorry. Okay,
No.
great. Thank you. Great. Yes. And yeah, before we begin, I just would like to inform our audience that you can also join this session in our YouTube channel of ours. And then if you have any questions, then you can type in your questions via the Q&A box at the right bottom of your screen. You can address your question either in English or in Indonesian. If it is in Indonesian, then I will help translate that for you. And the entire session will be conducted in English. So thank you very much for your time, Sabine. Good morning to you there.
Thank you. Good afternoon for you there. Evening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 4 p.m. right here. And I would like to let you know that we started screening your film yesterday, virtually, of course, in festivalscope.com. And we already received several comments in social media about this film. Basically, one common thread of all these audiences' reaction is that they feel sympathy towards Mona because they can relate to the character. I understand that Becoming Mona is an adaptation of a novel, and this is also your first feature-length fiction film because you are a documentary filmmaker. What made you decide this particular story will be your first feature-length fiction film?
Well, I never really had the ambition to make a fiction film.
I see.
Now I do, but it was more that I read the book, and the book is, or the story is very much about the need for courage in life and how difficult family relations can be. It also arrived at this. I mean, like we're all from a family, you know. Even if they're not there anymore, if they're there, there's always these family relations. I think also, especially also in Indonesia, which I know a little bit of, it's very present in your life. It's you have to. You try not to let your parents down or your siblings, or you try to rebel against them. There's all these very, very specific emotions and relations towards your family that are very shaping in who you are and how you live your life, and how happy you are or how unhappy you are, or how you deal with other relationships or with friendships or with work. And I read this book together with my partner Niels. We are also a couple in life, and we co-directed the film together, and we made another film also together. And it was also in a certain point in our life that we were starting a family, and it was very this was not always very easy. And it was also because you bring two different mentalities together. And we read this book, and I thought it touched me very much, because I was raised in Belgium, and it smelled like my childhood. But I think it's a very universal story. I mean, like my father is born in Indonesia, and he lived there for a long time. And his second wife is Indonesian also, and they have children. And even with them, I talked about this film, and it's also for them, it's very recognizable. So I think it's a story about the need to understand your family relations and how they can shape you in life. Yes. So
and the film is, sorry.
No. So that's why we wanted to make this film, or we didn't really, because the book was very popular here, and we make documentary films. So we just wrote, it was by accident. She wrote something about a film we made, and then we said, cool, maybe maybe the rights of the book are still free, and it was by social media. It was really an accident, and she just said, I would love for you to do it, the writer. I mean,
I see.
Yeah, so and we just started doing it. Yeah.
And you and Niels also wrote the adaptation together of the screenplay.
Yes.
And then you eventually directed together. I'm always curious, how do you divide the responsibility, both in writing and in directing?
Yes, it's very difficult, and it's very much about how you. I think if you work together, you need to be aware of your ego and to let it down, to let it go, because it's very much about the film. And so we like the writing in very practical. It was very much like, For instance, I start writing on part 1, he starts writing on part 2, I start writing on part 3, then we switch it around, then we read it together, then we write it together, then back and forth. And then for the directing, I think we did everything in the preparations together, but he also does the camera. So on set it was quite simple. I did the actors and he did the camera.
The film is divided into 3 chapters. Is it following similar to the book?
The 3 chapters are really like the book. This is something we never changed. We really never wanted to change this, also because it's very much about, I mean, there are gaps in time. And I think this is also what is very beautiful in a story, that you don't exactly know what's happening in the meantime, but you kind of can imagine. And I think you have this saying in Dutch, in English, and probably every language, with time, everything will get better.
Yeah.
It'll get better. And I think it's very much about, this story is very much about, it will not get better, not by itself, so if you just let it go, it'll, people say it'll get better, but it's not, it doesn't, you have to actively do something about it. If not, you will just get more and more sucked in these relationships, if they're unhealthy, of course. And so I think this is also like, for instance, there's 4 times Christmas in the book. This is not in the book, this is in the film. We kind of added that. I think it's also because for us, Christmas time is, it's like, how do you call it? Ramadan, like the Eid, like it's this one time a year you come together with the family. And it's like, I think, for me and for my partner, we're both very much, this is always hell. This is like, we have to go to my family, to his family. Everybody has their own traditions, and it's fun, but it's also a lot of obligations, and it's also a lot of expectations from a lot of people. So it's very difficult. And it's also when I'm in my house with my parents, it's also very much, like I get into this role and he gets into his role while he's with his family. So it's, we thought like Christmas is the ultimate family happening. So we so that's kind of the biggest adaptation we did.
There is always like additional pressure whenever this big festive holiday coming in, because like what you said, that we have to project ourselves in certain way that is hopefully acceptable for other family members. And that is exactly what I get from watching the film. Whenever we hear the song Silver Bell, and I would like to ask you, of all the Christmas theme songs available, any particular reason why you chose Silver Bell to mark the Christmas chapters?
Okay, there are many Christmas songs. And this was it was a very expensive Christmas song, because this is originally by Elvis Presley. So it's really, and we tried a lot of the music in the edits, and then we just, I think, I mean, we couldn't afford the one with Elvis Presley, so we had it, but I mean, it's really expensive, and we had it made. And I think also, because it's kind of, it's got, it's like a sweet Christmas song, but it's got balls, it's got, it's not too sweet. And so it's also a bit ironic, not really ironic, but it's a bit, there's a twist to it, you can see it's a bit, so that's why we liked it. And then for the ending, we chose that a woman sung the song, because for us, the ending it's her Christmas, it's like, I don't know what she's gonna do afterwards. I don't know if it's forever or not, or I mean, it's in the eye of the beholder, I guess, what you think of it, of the ending. But in that moment, it's for her, like it's her choice. She does something what she needs to do, what feels, like it's in sync with her own gut feeling.
And for a film that centers on one character and the character's name appears in the title, obviously the film rests on the shoulders of whoever plays that character in the spotlight. So how did you eventually decide on Olivia Landwit as the young Mona and Tanya Zabarillo as the adult Mona? If you could share with us the casting process, like, yeah.
Yeah, it was a very. I think it took us 2 years for
Oh, wow.
casting. Yeah, it was. We worked with some. We are very. For me personally, I like the casting very much. I mean, well, of course, it's my film, but I mean, I think it worked well. We casted, and we also worked with couples, you know, with the stepmother and Mona. We were looking who is working, you know, and we wanted it to be a family that was okay, that's suited, that you would believe that is, you know. So we worked for a long time also with another actress, and then with more actresses, and then Tanya. I know we first got a video casting, you know, and actually with the video casting, I already thought like it's her, you know, and then it's and then when we casted her, then we were looking for the little Mona, and then there were like 350 little girls that applied, so it was really very sweet. But it's specific because she needs to look like her, and it's a tough job for. I mean, like she was 11 when we were shooting. So they need to have a focus. They need to be able to act. They need to make, well, no, it's not long days, but I mean, it's a specific job. And we were looking, and she's very good at it, but she also has this thing which I think is, I mean, I really think it's like she has the same energy in a way as Olivia and Tanya, like the smaller Mona and the adult Mona. So it just took a long time, but we were just searching, and then and then you think, okay, this works. Yeah.
And the result was very good, because a film like this where the main character does not speak much, Mona observes a lot, and we see her observation, and we see that the film, the entire story actually relies on her small gestures, her movements, little touches that she makes when she connects with other people. I would like to know, how do you define your approach to the actors in the film? Like, how did you shape their performance?
Yeah, I think, it's also got to do with the last question. It's like, we were also a bit afraid of this role because it's also a very passive role. So a lot of people would say, like, you know, is it interesting enough? It's like someone who is not noticeable in real life. You know, there are loads of people like this. I think everybody is a little bit of Mona everybody has a little bit of Mona in him or her. And but in the beginning we were also a bit afraid, you know. We thought like, oh, maybe we should make her bigger, maybe we should make her more active. And then we realized we were also afraid of this character. And Tanya, she brought this, like, she could keep herself standing in a way that it felt like everybody was like boxing her, you know, like, here you get this and here you get that, and she's just taking it, you know, like she's not getting back, but she's taking everything in a different way. And I think that's really beautiful. And then the way we worked with them was it's also kind of funny story. We did we started out with a therapy session, which is
with real therapists.
Yes, our own therapists even.
Okay.
Like, we have a relationship, a therapist for our relationship, and they work a lot with systematic family. It's like you take people and you would put them in a certain room, and then it's like, how do you relate to each other? And we did this with the actors, and they also all said like, oh, so I will come and then I put on a mustache and the glasses, and, you know, I will play my part. And we said, no, we want you to be there as yourself, you know, like, because everybody understands these roles. So we wanted it to be more from themselves. So it were a lot of like exercises about like physically how you would feel against someone, you know, like if someone is standing right behind you or very close to you or maybe a bit further away, and how this is interfering with your relationships. Yeah.
And you did not specify the period, I mean the year of the story progresses, but we can tell from the look of the film that this is set when Mona was little, and then another parts of the story is set in when Mona is in her 20s and then eventually in her mid-30s. So how do you decide on this production design? Or do you want to achieve a particular look for the film?
Yes, we actually we chose not to make it specific for a year, but more for a period, and also because it's not about the time in history, but it's much more in the time that passes. So we really wanted it to, like, time is progressing, but that you don't really, I hope you're not thinking about like, where are we in what year, you know, like it's very much about, it's in life, and this is a longer time ago, this is less longer ago, and this is more or less now. So this is, we were going for this, so that it would not be a specific costume or time or thing.
Before we continue, we already have 2 questions from our audience. Let me address this. The first one is from Faris. Hi, Sabine. Your film hits close to home. I wonder, how do you do your research on capturing the complexity of childhood trauma and how it affects us in the adulthood? Do you consult with psychologists? Well, we touch a little about this, but perhaps you can elaborate on the research.
Well, yes, we did this therapy session. We talked with therapists about it also. I think they read the script and we discussed it. So this film is very much about loyalty, and that there are different kind of loyalties. And I think everybody, really everybody in the whole world knows a little bit about this. I mean, like, you can have a super happy childhood, but everybody knows what this is. There's not a soul in this world, if you really think about it, and if you're really honest, that you don't know what it's like, how to relate to your parents or siblings or grandmothers or parents or whatever. I mean, it's also very much about being honest about your own childhood and how you deal with it. So this is how I did my research.
All right. And the second question is from Arumi and Trino. Hi, Sabine. I just watched Becoming Mona yesterday. It's very touching and got me to tears. The story felt so close, as here in Indonesia, we are expected to take care of our parents when they age. How is actually the culture of taking care of your own aging parents in the Netherlands? Are there many people that are doing like Mona, or do they send the parents to retirement home?
Yeah, I mean, it's also an economic question in the end, because there are retirement homes, but there's simply no more money. So it's more and more becoming a question of, do you need to take care of your parents? It's not so much in the culture here. So it's the idea is that you would have someone else take care of them, but it's very expensive. I mean, like, for instance, I would not be able to afford that for my mother, for instance. I mean, it would simply be too. But I know, because I have siblings from Indonesia, I know this is, and their friends, and they told me when they watched the film that this is indeed very much a concern, and that maybe the duty a lot of Indonesian people feel is much stronger than I would feel, for instance. Like the way a lot of people feel that they will have to take care of their parents, which complicates the relationship, of course. I mean, it's very difficult if you want to, I think everybody wants to be there for the group and take care of other people and be a good person. And at the same time, you have to be good for yourself and loyal to yourself and do it in a way that suits you. So I think it's a very personal but very important subject to deal with. I mean, it's your life. You have to be able to grow to be able to be nice to people. So yeah.
Another question is from Abdul Aziz Muhammad. Through all the creating process, where are you at the end? Like, close to what you did expect from the original novel, or from the origin novel, or was it something different? What was the gap between your expectation and the result? Because there's so many of the characters themselves, I mean, so things are happening on the set. So perhaps the question is about your expectation, whether the film in the end similar or how different it is from the novel?
Well, yes, okay. The novel is a novel and the film is a film. I think we adapted a lot while we were writing already. So that's the biggest change took place there. Then we improvised a lot with the actors, but it was also always within a scene. I think because I make documentary films, I was a bit worried maybe that a set on a fiction film would be a bit boring, like you think about everything in advance and then you go and you shoot it and it will be exactly what you expect, about expectation. I thought that must be really boring, because if you go out and shoot a documentary, it's super nice because always things happen that you did not expect in advance, which is really nice, or I like it very much. So we try to make the set in this way that everybody was able to surprise us, or the actors were able to surprise us, that there was a lot of improvisation, and that we try to film it in a way that everything really happened on set. So for example, the scene when Mona or when her brother is telling that his girlfriend is pregnant, and Marie slaps her in the face. This was not something anybody knew that was going to happen. I mean, it's kind of weird because actors kind of normally would say to each other, I'm going to slap you in the face or whatever. But we had, I think there was a good safety or good feeling on set that these people could do this. And Wiene, who plays Marie, the stepmother, she really felt like, she said like, she is kind of physical towards this daughter, and she slaps her sometimes. Well, she did when she was little. She felt it very strongly. And that she did this on set, I mean, like, we were all crying afterwards to make it really sound really emotional or whatever, but it's because it was something that happened because they were very close to the people they were acting, and the set and the relationships they were in. So we try to create this freedom within a scene, and that we would always take time to film a scene. That is actually so it's not what I expected, because I simply didn't expect so much, I guess.
Did that help keeping the excitement on the set, because the film is heavy? So I wonder if people do not know what's going to happen the next, especially with the actors performing. Did it help to keep the excitement and the energy alive throughout the filming?
Yeah, I think for Tanya, who plays Mona, she was most of the time she was very worried when she had to do scenes with Stefan, who plays Marcus, the theater director, because he's very wild, and he's really wild. And also on set, he's just like with him, you could ask him to do the lines, but he is all about improvisation. So then she knew that I was talking to him and she couldn't hear it, and then she was looking at me and she felt like, oh my God, what is going to happen? So sometimes she was also very afraid, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Another question coming in. This one is from Billy Budiman. Hi, Sabine. Thanks a lot for making this movie. Have you ever thought to share this movie for a study for psychology's world? The way you build Mona's emotion is really extraordinary. There is less physical abuse in this film, but through words, because we must help people like Mona. Yet the most toxic environment is from the family itself. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I'm not a psychologist, so I think if someone wants to use it, everybody's welcome. I think it's very toxic, because it's very we focus on her, but I think if you look around you really well, you see it very often. I'm pretty self-assured, I would say, and I have a big mouth and I know what to say. But I find myself sometimes in situations like hers, it's, sometimes people are just mean, and you don't know what to say, and it's difficult to, stand up for yourself. So I don't know if it's really a psychologist. I think it's just human. It's, it's difficult to be vulnerable in a, yeah.
I wonder if the author of the novel and perhaps the novel readers have seen the film, and what are their takes about this film adaptation?
well, really a lot of people read her book. Not so many people saw the film, especially in this horrible time of Corona, of course. But Griet Lubbe Bakker, the writer, she loves the film. I mean, she loves it. I think she really likes it, that it's not exactly the book, but I think it's weird because the first time we showed it to her, it's very similar to her life, the story. So it's also so it's, I mean, like, she would not talk about it in that sense, but it's, I mean, like, it's like it's close to her. And I think so it's also weird. It's almost like if you make an adaptation of a novel and you show it to the writer, it's almost like you show a documentary to the main character, you know, like it's like, but she's super nice, and she really loves it. Yeah, I know she's very happy with it. And I think the people who read the book, well, that's what I hear, of course, but what I read and hear, it's like they like it because it's not exactly the book. So it's also, but I think it's true to the relations between the people. So I think that's what they like, I think. And I like it very much if people watch it and they feel or they talk about like who they can relate to, you know, like if you can relate to Mona, or there's also a lot of people who can relate to the stepmother or to the father, and I think that it makes a very interesting conversation, especially with your own family.
Because well, that's true, because well, like what you said earlier, there's always like Mona in each and every one of us, but in different circumstances we can understand the kind of attitude that the stepmother has, because sometimes we need to do things the way she does in the world. And also one thing I noticed from the film is the use of many extreme close-ups, particularly when Mona is in physical intimacy, whether with her father or her boyfriend. What are the reasons to give this very intimate look, especially for Mona scenes?
Well, it's we try to make a one-taker of every scene. So it's very much about the Niels, who is the cameraman. He's kind of like an actor on set also. He's physically also very close to the actors. I mean, like, it's almost like he's one of the family members. Like he's looking with them, to them. So it was almost like a dance they had to do. So it's the idea was also that the idea of this kind of camera work is very much like that you are present, that you fall into a scene, you're kind of in the middle of it, and you fall out of it again, but that you're really also there in the room. That was what we were what we tried to do. Yeah.
Okay, Sabine, that's about the time that we have for our brief but very enlightening conversations. And before we end the session, let's take a picture together, and our host will lead us on how to do this.
Hello, everyone. I will count to 3. Strike your best pose, and we'll take a picture together. 1, 2, 3. And one more time.
Oh, God.
1, 2, 3. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Panjit. Thank you, Sabine, for your time. And are you working in any documentary or fiction project at the moment?
Fiction.
Fiction. All right.
Yes, I really like it. Yeah.
Looking forward to your sophomore film then.
Yeah. Thank you for showing our film. It's really an honor that it's showing in Indonesia.
We're more than happy to screen your film. It's one of very powerful dramas from Netherlands in recent years.
Thank you. That's nice to hear.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Sabine.
Bye.
Okay, so that was our conversation with Sabine, the director, one of the directors of Becoming Mona. And And later on, we will have a webinar session on gender acceptance, support system for gender acceptance at 7 p.m. mulai pukul 19 waktu Indonesia Barat. Oke, untuk penanya terpilih hari ini ada Arumi Hendrino, nanti akan dihubungi oleh tim Europe on Screen. Thank you very much, everyone. You can still watch Becoming Mona, available since yesterday in festivalscope.com. I'm Noval, signing off, and goodbye. See you soon.